Are you afraid? Do you have a fear? Let's talk about fear. Hey, Dramaniacs! Sorry for the dramatic start. So that was just a hint to give you, just to let you know that we are going to be talking about fear. So if you're tuning in for the first time, this is Almost Naked Conversation with me, Szebastian, Onne, and we'll be talking about fear on Dramaniac TV today. And I have my guest with me who will be joining us very soon. She is a mind coach, a mindset coach. She's the founder of the Dream Big Life. And we have been discussing various types of fear, various points, various nuggets on what kind of fear people go through, what kind of, what are they scared of in their life to progress, to achieve things, and what's stopping them from being themselves, from what's stopping them from making their dreams come true. And we have touched on different fears in the last 5 days. So if you have never seen this show before, once again, this is Almost Naked Conversation with me, Szebastian, Onne, on Dramaniac TV. Wherever you're in the world right now, if you're watching us right now, please hit a like or a heart. Please tell me where you are in the comment. If you're watching right now, say #live. If you are watching replay, say #replay. Let me know where you are, which country you're watching us from. Do you have any fears you want to talk about? So let's talk about fear, and let me bring my guest, Vanessa Canevaro. And I hope I said the name right this time. Did I, Vanessa?
You did. It's me.
There you go. So we have been talking a lot about fear, and guess what? We have the guest. The surprise guest is with us. Great.
Oh, yay.
So hopefully he'll be joining us. I will check that in the production room very soon. So yes, we have been talking a lot about fear, and we've been touching on various topics, which we'll discuss today together. But before that, let's see who else is here. So we have Alicia from, she's from USA, obviously. She's your neighbor. And then we have, obviously, my sweet darling, my work wife, Alicia Curry, Miami, Florida. We have Adam Clarke from UK. Hi, Adam. Hi, Alicia. Hi, Alicia. Guys, if you're watching this, please like, share, tag. If you're scared of something, share about that. If you know somebody who should be watching this, please tag them in the comments so that they can watch it. And guys, if anybody you know who's not on Facebook and should watch it, please ask them to come on dramaniac.com/live. Let me just type that up for you so they can just come to dramaniac.com/live and watch us from anywhere, no matter what platform you're using, no matter where you are, you can just go to dramaniac.com/live. So Vanessa, I'll stop talking and let's talk about fear. So you are a mindset coach, and one thing that you work with is understanding how people think, how their thinking is stopping them from progressing, the different kinds of challenges that they have. And one of the main things that stops people is fear of different types, right? So we spoke about different fears. First thing that we spoke about was the fear of rejection. What do you like? Why is fear of rejection so big? How does it stop us in our life in progressing?
So fear of rejection, this is the first fear that we talked about. And what I found was really powerful about this is it's that thing that's kind of in the back of our mind, wondering if we're good enough and if we're going to be that person that we think other people are expecting us to be, but I honestly believe as a person we're expecting ourselves to be. and we're not totally setting that little gem we have inside of ourselves free. So, everybody wants to be a part of something. Everybody wants to belong. But when you feel like you're not belong and you're being rejected, the mind games that come with that, they're just so huge. And that fear actually can be debilitating, because it can actually hold you back from just literally leaving your house and going to the store, because you're feeling like you need to put a show on the whole time. And that's just not healthy.
And that's the thing. This fear has more. There is a rational behind it, and it is irrational as well at times. It's not always that the fear is unfounded. There is a reason. People go through things. People witness things in their life, or people face things which make them feel that I may be rejected, right? And it could be anything. It could be because of bullying. It could be they saw an event or they saw an incident that was scary, and then they started relating to that, and they started thinking, oh, if I did this, I might also be treated this way. So I think what we're talking about is in fear of rejection. We also, I think you were saying, the ego comes in, the shame comes in, right? We relate to the shame. Why is it that when I understand the fear of rejection makes me also think, oh, if I did this, how gonna people react? But why should it matter so much? It's my life, right?
And it is true. And, like you had said, shame, right? The toxicity of shame and doubt. And I think as human beings, we have that natural instinct within us to need to compete with other people. And it's not that, you're actually in a competition, but we compare ourselves to what other people do, how they look, their success, even their not successes. And because of that little competition we continually have going on within us, it actually takes over, and it makes you feel like you're less than what you actually are. And that is,
and I think that's also because I think we're trying to constantly compare ourselves to a certain standard or a certain somebody else who is not us, who is not living our life, who is living. We don't know what their circumstances are. We don't know how did they get where they are today, and we start comparing that. Don't you think that comparison is very, very unhealthy and is the very core of the fear of rejection?
It is so unhealthy. It's so unhealthy because, like you said, we do not know the life they've lived or the struggles that they have. And oftentimes those people that appear to have it all together, right, and they're going to the top, they might be the ones that are actually paddling desperately below the water because they're trying to live up to the expectations they've set for themselves or other people see them living. So we really don't know the struggle that they're going through. And again, I think once we have that realization that, okay, you know what, everybody has some sort of struggle. It is part of being a human being, that it's okay.
Exactly.
And to be who you are is totally fine.
Exactly. And Alicia asks a very good question. How do you even recognize that you're in fear of rejection? How do we know that I am afraid of being rejected?
I think the constant comparison that goes on in your mind. So if you're seeing somebody showing their success on social media, or you see somebody who looks like they have it together, and you're constantly questioning yourself, okay, how come he has it? How come I don't? Maybe I'm not as good as he has. Maybe I can't, do what she does. I think that's how you realize that you actually have, that you're stuck in the fear of rejection, is the comparison, the little voices that are going through your mind saying you're not good enough. So just pay attention
and these
to
voices. My God, these voices play such a big role in everything that we do. You were talking about the other day, we even start imagining things that are not happening. We even start imagining things people are not even saying to us. And we're constantly just trying to, we're creating a rejection that doesn't even exist, right?
That's true. And realizing those monsters aren't real. That's the big thing too, right? As you're going through the little mind games and the self-talk, which might not be positive self-talk, and you're imagining these things are going on, which they probably aren't, is stopping and looking and kind of regrouping yourself and saying, okay, Those monsters aren't real. They're not real. So let them go.
Right.
And just keep going.
Let them go, believe in yourself, live your life, handle what's in front of you, think strategically, reach out for help, talk to people. I think the best way to fight any fear is talk it out. Reach out to somebody, say, this is how I feel. Get some kind of a reassurance, get somebody to listen to you. And because when you're scared, of course, you're not being rational. You might be overthinking and doing things. And as Alicia says, she just posted a quote of Roosevelt that comparison is the thief of joy. So true. The moment we start comparing, and not in a competitive way, but in a way like, oh, am I good enough? Am I good enough like them? Am I achieving as much as they're achieving? Am I capable of doing as much as they are doing? So instead of making it an inspiration, we make it a roadblock for ourselves, right?
That's true. That's true. And a lot of times as well is that I find if you're living in now and not projecting into the future of what could possibly happen, or going backwards and thinking about the past things that have happened and reliving those over and over again, right? They've already happened. You can't relive them. You can't project yourself in the future. You cannot time travel, right? So if you're just focusing on what's happening right now, a lot of those fears will eventually kind of fade away, or they'll back up and they'll give you more of a realization of what is actually going on.
Right. And Adam just said, for me, it's the fear of not being good enough. And the biggest thing I think is fear of other perceiving me poorly. That's exactly what we do wrong. That's exactly where we do the self-damage. We just start associating it with, am I good enough? Am I worthy enough? Am I worth? Instead of thinking, I am worth, I can be this, and I am good enough the way I am. Vanessa, you have your strengths. I have mine. There are some strengths of yours that I will never have. I may learn from you. I may never learn. There are some strengths of mine you may never have. So, and I think that's what Adam is talking about. That when we question that, when we say, oh, I have been there. Constantly saying, am I good enough? Will people accept me? I know we're going on about fear of rejection, but that's exactly the thing is that's where everything kind of begins. And all
the fears play into one ball is essentially what it is. And you made such an amazing point, Szebastian, where you said, am I? And am I is a question. You're questioning yourself. Instead of saying I am, which is a direct, this is what I am. Right? So the am I is a constant questioning, and fear of rejection. Am I good enough? Am I qualified for this? Am I, all of the am I's. Don't question yourself. I am instead.
That's a very great point. Like, am I versus I am, it changes the entire perspective.
Everything.
It changes the entire mindset. Instead of questioning, you start believing. Instead of being scared, you start daring. And I think that's when you start breathing really. That's when you start living, Okay, so speaking of which, we were talking about, what if one thing changes everything? That's another fear we have. It could be tiny, it could be big, it could be an event or an incident that happened with us, and then we suddenly get stuck. Oh, now this happened with me. Now everything changes.
That's right.
Right.
But what?
So,
and again, I look at that. If this happens to me, everything changes. But again, if you look at the opposite of that, if this happens to me, everything changes. Right? You think about the emphasis you put on it, right? I mean, fear of change is one of the things we talked about.
It's the same thing, the positive or the negative perspective. And I can understand, look, when you're scared, when you are in this negative mindset, you only constantly pile on more and more negative thinking, more and more negative thoughts, more and more negative perception of things. And as we were talking about, even we start questioning what others are saying. So we start with, am I? Are they? Instead of, I am, oh, they are thinking some, or they're irrelevant, or they are adding something to my life. we stop looking at that perspective altogether, and I think there's a conversation going on the side which I'm watching. So Adam is saying to Alicia that he's looking for the root cause, and that's the thing. We need to find the root cause. Why am I thinking this way? Why do I think am I good enough? Right? That's where the entire mindset comes. Why don't I think I am good enough? Going back to the exact same point. And so talking about one thing changes everything. Is it really that bad? If something bad happens, and when something bad happens, an event happens or an incident happens, yes, for the time being, things can change. For the time being, we may have some challenges, but does that mean everything changes? And I'm saying in a perspective of, does that mean everything changes for worse?
And you know what? It doesn't. And I think we also get stuck in a time zone where we think, oh my gosh, I'm going through this right now, and I'm going to keep going through this. And you get stuck in that muck, and you believe, or within your mind, you think, I'm never getting out of it. But if you look at the perspective of a month from now, this probably won't even matter anymore. A month from now, I would have gone past it. And if you look back, maybe, I don't like talking about the past, but if you look back a couple of months before that and you went through a similar struggle or a struggle, you made it past. Right?
Right.
So I think looking at the perspective of next week, is this even going to matter? Or next month, will this be a big deal anymore? Chances are it probably won't.
Right. And I think what happens is when something bad is going on, we just take it for granted that now it's going to stay there. We're stuck with it. We're never going to be able to move past. And I understand that because, which is what brings us to the fear we were talking about, the fear of uncertainty. We're uncertain what's going to happen next. Now I'm stuck here. Now this happened. Some really bad incident happened. Maybe I had an accident. Maybe all my property was lost somehow. Somebody did something. Maybe my house was set on fire, which last week my office was. So,
Yeah.
Things can happen. Things can happen, but we start thinking in a way, now we don't know what's going to happen next. It's uncertain. And that fear of uncertainty, which I am beginning to say right, again, stops us. And, you were talking about that. So do you want to highlight, put some light on that as well?
Well, the fear of uncertainty, not knowing what's happening next, and we try to project ourselves into possible situations that might turn up, which again, it's self-preservation. We kind of want to know what the next step's going to be, so we're prepared for it, right? When in fact, honestly, the possibilities are limitless. And if we look at our life as like a book, and right now we are living just one little chapter of that book. As soon as you flip up those pages,
maybe just a page. Maybe just a page. We don't even realize that. We decide that, oh, I'm stuck. We just stop. And Alicia is saying very great thing. Alicia Castanera-Fletcher, she's saying you have to learn to recognize your thought distortions. That's it. You have to just
exactly true.
See those signals that, hang on, why are you thinking this way? Stop for a second. Just take a deep breath. Stop for a second. Why are you thinking this way? What are your other options? What is happening around you? What is it? And I strongly believe in this. You've got to focus on what is in your control. Try and fix that. Fix what is in your control and stop trying to fight things that are not in your control. Stop trying to focus on things that you cannot do anything about. It's an external factor. And when you do that, I think the first thing that comes in is you start calming down. Instead of becoming reactive, you start becoming rational. And you start thinking, okay, so I'm in a situation. These are the things I can fix. This is beyond me. So the things I can fix, how do I do that? What logistics will I need? What resources do I need? How do I need to react? And I know I was joking just a second ago, but that's what happened last week. We had a fire. I had never in my life seen fire that big. Call it dramatic, but I had never seen a fire that big in real life. On the news, all that in the movies, but I had never witnessed a fire or been in a fire. suddenly I'm standing and it's all fire and everything. And I think that's exactly what happened. I just somehow used that second to, instead of going panicking, I just went, okay, so what can I do right now? I just thought to myself, what can I do right now? I stopped just for a fraction of a second, and I realized, okay, so here's the source of fire. First thing I need to do is tell everybody else to get out, because I don't know what will happen, but everybody doesn't need to be inside right now. As many people can leave and can get out, get out. So if I had been afraid, if I had panicked, I may not have even thought about that and risking more lives. So everybody got out, and first thing I thought was, okay, the source of fire, what is it? Is it something I can put water on? Is it something I can put a blanket on? And again, I am saying it right now, but at that time it was just fractions of seconds. I had to make that decision.
Natural instincts came out, right? Your human instincts came out.
Exactly. Yeah. Because my real reaction inside was, oh shit. It's like, what do I do now? But just because of, being a little bit calm, being a little bit positive mindset that, okay, I need to do something the best possible and then see how can I get out of this. Did that, was successfully able to put the fire off and everything. And, we were saved, and we didn't panic. We didn't, again, we didn't have that negative mindset that it's all over, now we're gonna all die. And that changed things. And, and we were just talking about fear of uncertainty, which is where in the fire as well. And Alicia just says, you can get caught in fortune telling, and that's the thing. When you're thinking about, oh, what's gonna happen next, you start trying to fortune tell. The fact is,
yeah,
we can't do that.
You can't. Like I said, we're not time travelers. We cannot go ahead in time, and we cannot go back in time. But what you did is you actually collected your thoughts together, and you looked at them and said, okay, what really needs to be done right now? And, when you're caught in a fear, when you have that constant hamster wheel of things that are, probably negative going over and over in your mind, when you're looking at all the bad possible outcomes that can happen, sit there and collect your thoughts and say, okay, what is real and what isn't real, first of all? And secondly,
right.
Why am I feeling this way? What is causing me to feel this way? Just like if you're panicking about going, attending an event or being on a stage, or if you're panicking about an upcoming interview, date, something that's happening, stop and look at it and say, okay, why am I scared? Why am I making myself feel ill? What is the thing that I'm scared of? Because it is often a fear. And face it,
yeah.
and dissect it and figure out, why am I afraid of that?
Right. And it usually just takes a second to change your mindset.
Exactly.
In that 1 second, you can either go down the hill or either, go in a direction that can, as we were talking about, it can change everything, but in a positive way.
But
you look at it in a different way, not looking, oh, it can change everything, it's over now, I can't do anything now. But instead, we're looking at, okay, it can change everything and be better. Right?
Change everything, right? And look at it that way. Okay, at the moment it might not look so good, but it can change everything. Which direction do you want to go? We actually have a choice, right? There's always a choice. Yeah.
Exactly. We were talking about, how fear, and Adam just said that, am I good enough in all that? And I just want to tell you the surprise guest that we had, that is Adam Clarke. So he had a little bit of, situation where he struggles with that, like, am I good enough to do this? He just saw our 6-minute snippet, and that helped him to actually get on a call with me I think we were on a call for like 2 hours. And Adam, I know you're in the green room right now. You can hear us, but we can't hear you. I will let you know when I bring you in. So he is ready to come in. And I wanted to introduce you guys. So Vanessa, that little chat made that tiny difference. You and I cannot predict how much of a big difference it will make. But the conversation started something, gave one person the power of going beyond their fear for a little bit. And, we were on a call, we discussed business, and I understand that the way Adam reacted, that, this is the first time I've done this, and maybe he was nervous, but he didn't seemed like that. And we had a really focused, healthy conversation about business, about things. And that's exactly what it is. Once you have that positive mindset, once that incident we were talking about, once you make that distance, that incident go, okay, this can change everything in a positive way. It does, right?
That's
and
right.
Speaking of it, I think, do I have your permission to bring Adam in and let's have a conversation?
I would love to meet Adam. I'm so proud of him.
All right, let's hope everything works with audio and video. So I'm just going to bring him right now. Adam, you're coming up in the room. There we go. Can you hear us, Adam?
I can hear you. Welcome, guys. Hi.
There you go. Welcome to the show, Adam. Welcome to Almost Naked Conversation. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you both? It's a great show, by the way.
Thank you so much. And here's your muse. Here's your lady that did that little talk, and you dared to get on a call with me, an absolute stranger from a different part of the world.
Absolutely, yeah. It was just literally a little snippet, Vanessa, that you kind of touched me with in one of your promo snippet shows. And it was literally about, what's the worst that could happen, really, about putting your best foot forwards and taking that first step. And I think you were saying about literally taking little steps towards, something that you actually want and something you want to achieve, but some fear is actually holding you back. This is the first time I've done anything like this, and it feels very, very strange, I have to say, talking to everybody out there on camera, but it was something in what you said that has actually made me do it today.
Well, what's really neat? First of all, my gosh, thank you so much. When Szebastian actually had talked to me a little bit about what you had said, I almost started crying, because this is what it's all about, first of all, right? A few years ago, there is no way I would have appeared on camera anywhere. I just wouldn't have. I wasn't confident enough. I didn't love myself enough. But now that you've taken this step, you can't go back. Isn't that neat to think? Because you've already done it. You've already done it.
Absolutely.
You're not the guy you were last week. Isn't that wonderful to think about that? Can you imagine who you're going to be next week? It's just
imagine, from questioning, am I good enough? Now, Adam is live to the global audience in UK, Australia, America, India, China, name it. People are watching from everywhere, and he's here. Well, Adam, you've never done this before, and now you're actually on a live show talking to people, and there you go.
Something completely new for me, a direction, that I've wanted to go in, but I don't really know how to get there. So this is phenomenal to be recognized as maybe having something to say, putting a few things out on Twitter, which is where we met Szebastian. So, yes. And here we are. So, in a short space of time, I can't thank you enough to give me an opportunity to be on.
Well, we're really honored to have you here. And as Vanessa said, it was really a touching moment for us. When I told Vanessa, we were both excited, emotional, and we both had the same expression, like, this is exactly what all these shows are about, what all this effort is about. And hey, Alicia is saying, you're looking good, Adam. And she said,
thank you, Alicia.
You did it and you didn't die.
No, that's it. Yeah. What's the worst that could happen? I didn't die trying something new.
That's it. What's the worst thing that can possibly happen? And now you've overcome that fear. You're like, okay, so what step do I take next? Because you've already taken a huge one, and the next one won't be as huge because you've already
right. And look, right now, Adam, you're in the UK, I'm in Australia, Vanessa's in Canada. So your fear has internationally connected you. From being on Twitter and just talking to each other and trying to understand each other's work, now suddenly you've expanded your audience. You are right now an international TV star, mate.
In 5 minutes, you became an international star. Isn't that amazing?
Since Friday last week.
Exactly. It's just that little hump of fear. It's just that little, as we were talking, if you let that fear get to you, if you let that single moment destroy you, then you just stop and you start going back and you start going down. And what Vanessa's conversation did, you chose to listen to the message, you chose to listen to the positive aspect, and here you are. You know, you're doing a thing you've never done before. You're suddenly internationally connected, and this is now a great business opportunity for future. This is something you can now do for yourself, and run your own shows, reach out to the audience. Next time, I think if Vanessa and I are live, and we'll say, "Hey, you're coming. Are you coming?" I think you'll be ready before we know, right?
I'll be there.
Well, yeah, wow. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad.
So talking about
I'm glad that, first of all, you took your moment in time and understood it's just a moment in time, right? And all the fears that we have and all the things that make us feel nervous and anxious, if we look at it as it's just a moment in time, and another minute's going to go by right away, and we'll step away from that moment, everything just becomes clearer and easier.
That's right. And now the question is, okay, so where do I go from here? I've overcome this. Now I know nothing bad happened. You're still alive, and people are commenting, they're enjoying. So next thing is, okay, what do I do next in life, right, Vanessa? And we can choose any path, and that's what you were talking about, Vanessa. We can choose any path. What's stopping you from picking your destiny, right?
Yeah, that's right. And I think that once we realize that, our life really is our choice. And I know sometimes it feels like it's just this big ball of out of control because it seems like things are happening that are beyond our reach. But when we realize we actually choose how we react to it, we might not be able to choose whether or not this thing right now is in collections, right, with a collection agency, or whether right now this person is sick. We might not be able to choose that, but we can choose how we're reacting to it and get control back that way. And when we do that, we become empowered.
Right. So which is where I'm going to ask you, Adam, what was stopping you?
There were two things really. Was the fear of failure. So, going back to the earlier conversation of will I be good enough? Do I have something valuable to say, some value add to put across to the audience? I think certainly in my business life, I seem to have something to put across, and I seem to be quite successful and doing well. It's more about now wanting to see if I can plant some seeds and help other people, and share some of that experience and some of that feeling. And you know what, I need to practice what I preach, and actually, in order to grow and progress, I think people need to get uncomfortable. But, it's all too easy to say that, but not to actually engage with it yourself and stay within your little comfort zone and within your bubble. So, being here is taking me massively out of the comfort zone, and I'm practicing what I preach. So happy days.
Right. So the audience is asking, Alicia is asking, what do you do, Adam? Tell us a little bit more about what you really do.
Okay, so very briefly, I currently manage a facilities team which spans 20 properties around the UK, and supporting a couple of properties in Ireland for a global technology company. And in the past, for the same company, I've been the head of the compliance function. So looking after all of the quality, all of the information security, the data security, all of that side of things. So at the moment, basically head of department with 21 people beneath. And you know what, it's all about the people. It's all about engagement for me. So, I think that's where my strengths lie. But yeah, that's me.
Right. And Vanessa, this is where I have to come to you. See, this is what it is. He is doing everything that, I cannot even imagine that Adam would be scared of something. He's managing such a big team. It's international, and his job, he's got a lot of responsibility, and he's managing that, and his goal is engagement. And yet that little fear kept him off the limelight, per se, and I have to congratulate you, Vanessa. Really, I have to congratulate you that this is exactly what you're trying to do. This is what your job is. This is what, as a mindset coach, you are aiming for.
It's exactly true. And it makes my heart just feel so good. Because first of all, Adam, clearly you're a leader because you are overseeing all of these people, right? And, I always think that empowerment is like the kryptonite to fear. And now you're actually empowering other people as you're being a leader. And with the things you're saying today, talking about, I was scared to do this, right? I was scared to start something else on my own. But you also used words like help. And that is probably one of my favorite words is help. Because, my big motto is we're all here to help each other along. And the fact that something I said has helped you, that's awesome. But I cannot wait to see the ripples of what that's going to do for you and how many people you're going to help. Because again, that's going to empower you. And I mean, there will be somebody who's going to pop onto one of your shows now, or, some sort of speaking gig that you're at. And they're going to come up to you and they're going to say, because you said this, I did this. And that's just going to give ripples. Because think of what that's going to do to their children, to their friends, and future generations. So, my gosh, I am so proud of you for coming on here and taking this big step.
Well, if I can plant a seed like you have in me, Vanessa, I'd be very thankful.
Thank you. Thank you.
There you go. So what needs to happen now from here is, guys, I have connected you both. You've got to get in touch with each other. Vanessa, I think there's more you can guide him. And Adam, there's more stories you can share about this. And you now become the pallbearer of actually taking this light further and, a torchbearer, taking this light further and helping others who might be feeling the same way, giving them the example. And hey, you're live and we're already talking about your show. So I need to know when your shows are beginning. I think you two should do shows together because you will be a good team. So there you go. I'm just doing my little matchmaking business-wise.
I will connect with you.
I saw the cheeky little promo earlier in the week.
There you go.
Yeah.
And and that's the thing. We've been talking about, don't let the fear of what you could not do stop you, because that's where we usually just halt, just don't go further. That little hump that we're scared of. Something happened, something you experienced, and you just stop trying again. Right, Vanessa?
That's, it's exactly true.
Which is where I'll come to a little bit of personal story, Vanessa, and I hope it's okay to ask. You had that situation. You experienced something that could have destroyed you, that could have literally changed everything for negative, and you could have gone, okay, you know what? Now I can't do anything further. Now I have to stop. Now my life is over. But you didn't give up. You actually changed it around and made it amazing for not just yourself, for your family and for people. And hey, you're changing lives sitting in your home. You're changing lives in UK. I don't think there's a bigger testimonial I can give right now. So do you want to share a little bit about, what you went through and how did you come here?
Absolutely. So actually, Szebastian, I've got so many stories of challenges I have gone through. First of all, I was a single mom at 17. So I was in grade 11 and I was pregnant, had our oldest son when I was in grade 12. So that was a lot of things I had to overcome because my plan for my life was so much different, right? And then I found out I was going to have this precious little gift, and he totally propelled me into a whole different direction. Also, just to give you a little bit more background about some of the things we've gone through, we've also been through 2 personal bankruptcies. So if you think that life cannot get any worse, well, when you lose your home and you literally lose everything, you kept your car, that was it. That was a pretty low point, but we got past it and we moved on. And then last year, I was diagnosed with Lyme disease. And for people who don't know what Lyme disease is, it's actually a disease from a bacteria that you get from a wood tick. And I got it in my backyard. It came in with one of the dogs, and I had a tick on my leg. And growing up in the prairies in Canada, having ticks on you was no big deal. And I just happened to have a tick on my leg. And I made this kind of comment to my husband, oh, what if I get Lyme disease? It's never going to happen. It hasn't happened in 46 years at that time. And sure enough, a couple months later, I started feeling really ill. And I started feeling very depressed. It got to the point where I couldn't lift my arms above my head. I couldn't lift my legs. I was in constant pain because of the inflammation. I had lost my memory. I couldn't remember simple words like Tony had too. I had said to him, what's that thing you put water in? And he's like, what are you talking about? I said, well, what's that thing that holds water? He said, you mean a pail? I'm like, yeah. I couldn't remember what the word was for pail. I couldn't remember. My short-term memory was totally messed up. And Lyme disease is not something that's really recognized in North America. And I don't know what it's like in Australia or the UK, because I don't think you guys have cases like we do here, but it's something that's become very prevalent in North America. And the medical community does not really recognize it. So to get diagnosed was not the easiest thing. And once they actually figured out what it was first of all a relief. But secondly, it was very frustrating because people are being misdiagnosed all the time with having MS, fibromyalgia. The country singer, or the superstar Chris Christopherson, if you guys know who he is, he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's for years. And he thought he was actually, fading away when in fact it was Lyme disease. So for me, it was very lucky that it was caught early. But what I still go through is every once in a while, it'll go into remission. And, I feel like I'm back to almost normal girl again. But every once in a while, and this past week, it's happened to me, was the pain will come back where I can't lift my arms again, where, I'm having headaches, where, all the symptoms are starting to come back. And for me, fear and stress is what seems to trigger it, to take it out of remission again. So it's something that I constantly live with. But again, once I was diagnosed with it, I thought, okay, well, I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do, because I'm not going to just sit here and go, oh my gosh, I'm ill. Well, no, that's not, I'm only 47. I'm not even done half my life yet. I got to figure out what I can do in order to move myself forward. And I'm so grateful that I've got so much history with coaching people and with helping people see the best in themselves, that I have this opportunity to be a mind coach, because, first of all, it's a gift that I have. And secondly, I can help so many other people. And I can do it from home.
Exactly.
Me too. So,
and the biggest thing is the fear, the situation that could have become the biggest fear of your life, something that could have broken you, something that could have shattered everything. You actually used it as a power, as a knowledge, as a strength to create more awareness, to help people, and to use your other skills of coaching and having experience of what this fear is, what you're going through, to create something better, to create something more powerful, and help people feel better, know what it is, be prepared. And not just Lyme disease. You actually went all the way to create a company, the Dream Big Life, to help people realize you have a dream, you've got to live it, you've got to live all the way, you've got to make your dreams come true. And it's just amazing coincidence that my company with Alicia Curry is also our motto as well, as dream big and make it happen. And I think right now, sitting here, three of us, that's exactly what we're doing. We're dreaming big, we had our fears, and now we're making it happen. I'd like to say, like, you two are the role models right now here of showing people, once you overcome fear, there's so much value you can add to people. There's so much you can do. Both of you are already very skilled in what you're doing, but different fears stopped you. You had an option of, or you could have never tried again. Instead, you chose to change life. And hey, look, in 6 minutes, Adam Clarke really had, a breakthrough, and he is here. He's on live, sitting comfortably. I think you're enjoying Adam. And I'm just going to read a comment from my team. Adam Clarke had a real breakthrough watching quick promo for Almost Naked Conversation with Szebastian, Onne with Vanessa, Canevaro. And the result is you're here. I think I just need to now book dates with when you're coming to my show, right?
Yes.
So.
Very late in the UK, very cold. But we're here. We're doing it.
It's nearly midnight, isn't it?
Yep.
Right. So thank you so much for joining us, Adam, and thank you so much for
Thank you
being
for
a
having
real
me.
life example of what a little positive conversation can do and positive mindset can do. Thank you so much, Vanessa. Do you have anything to say before Adam goes?
Adam, thank you so much because of what you have said and the fact you've popped on here and you've stepped over all these things that were, scary. Well, first of all, it just makes me feel so good. It makes me feel so good. And I'm so proud of you. And just know that there is no limit to what you can do. There is no limit. We set the limit ourselves, right? So every day, raise that bar a little higher.
Yeah, absolutely.
A dream is, a goal is just a dream that has a plan, right? You're already making your plans. So your dreams are coming true.
Exactly. And with all the things you have, which I've noticed already, and that's how we got in touch. I am sure Adam is a promising person who's going to bring so much more to this world. And thank you again for being on the show, Adam. And
thanks, guys.
I look forward to having you again.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks, Adam.
Take care. Bye now.
Bye.
All right. So that takes us to, first of all, I still again have to congratulate you. Look at you in 6 minutes. We're not even talking about an entire show. It was just a teaser in 6 minutes, and it's the little hum that changed it. And as Alicia is also saying, when you had the fear, you kept a positive perspective and, went on, you carried on, and here you are, not only doing this for yourself, your family, you're making changes in others' lives. Hey, UK, Australia, you've been helping me since we've met. You've been helping me think positive. And that's what it is all about. Just having that conversation. You and I, to speak really truthfully, never had a professional coaching session, but just the conversations, just the interaction. And that's what it is. Your positive mindset has helped me look at things in a different perspective. If something is worrying me, I'm looking, oh, you know what? No, maybe I can do better. Maybe this can be. And the first thing is, as you said, fear of rejection, fighting that away. It's okay if people don't accept you. And speaking of which, another fear we've talked about, fear of being judged. That's almost like fear of rejection, but we are so scared of being judged. We pretend to be an altogether different person, right?
Yes. First of all, I want to say for Adam, I just said a few things. He was the one that did all the hard work. I did not, right? I just said something that triggered with him. He did the hard work and he stepped over whatever it was that was holding him back. So first of all, this is not me. It's totally Adam. And so fear of being judged, like I say, it's like that wood tick on the back of fear of rejection. It's like that little thing that kind of hangs out in the background with it, because we are constantly wanting to compare ourselves to other people and not feeling like we're good enough. And I think once we realize, okay, first of all, the standards of good enough, they don't even exist. There is no good enough standards. There's nothing saying this is what it means to be good. It's not there, right? Again,
where's the manual? Where's the book?
There's no manual. That's just it. Like I said,
0.1 to 7. If you do this, you're good enough. Otherwise, you're not worthy of being in this world.
Yes, and that's exactly true. So once we realize there is nothing saying this is the level of good enough, well, that's not there. And understanding that we are all human and every one of us are going to make mistakes, that's okay, right? It's okay to make a mistake. And if people are judging you, well, that's them and it's not you. And if they're judging you for wanting to do something better or do something with your life or take a chance, and they're upset about it, or if they're criticizing or whatever, then I guess they really don't know who you are. It's not your
Thank you for
there.
Yeah. Really, really thank you for saying that, because that's exactly what it is. We need to stop thinking about what they're going to say. And the most powerful you said here is it's about them. If they're judging you, it's a problem or a situation or a mindset or a hurdle they have, not you. You're not the cause. You're not the doer. You're just doing you. And so if they're judging you, they need to look into why are they thinking that way. Why is their it's again back to the same mindset. Why is their mindset the way it is? And that has nothing to do with you. The moment you realize that people's judgment has nothing to do with you, you gain your power back. And I think this is where I would say it's all about keeping your power with you. It's all about saying no. No is a complete word. Eleni Anastas, my another guest, she's also, I think you were with her on Women Unleashed, right?
I was.
Yes. So you guys know each other. So she says this, that no is a complete statement. No is a complete sentence. So when those negative thoughts come to you, when those people judge you, when the fear of rejection comes to you, saying no, I will not think that way. I will not care about what you have to think about me. No, I will not be scared begins everything.
That's true. And it's like, no, not today. And you replace it with what you want, whatever it is, empowering. I am, right? So right away, I'm a huge believer in positive affirmations and I am statements. So when you're starting to compare yourself or, feel like somebody's judging you and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not good enough at doing this. Like this isn't, no, I am strong. I did this. Right. So just taking that ownership again, like I said, empowerment is the kryptonite to fear, and fear can be anything. Doubt is a fear, right? So. And
you were earlier saying about it was all Adam, and that's where I have my own quote that I'm going to just put up and plug myself. I do say to people, I can coach you, but you're the one who's going to fight your own battle.
That's right.
I can coach you. I can only be a coach. I cannot be the warrior. I cannot replace your life and fight for you. You've got to fight yourself. And once you learn to fight yourself, once you learn to, take the challenge, everything changes, and it changes for good.
That's exactly true.
Speaking of which, let me just do a little plug. So guys, if you're just tuning in right now, you're watching Almost Naked Conversation with myself, Szebastian Onne, and with me is Vanessa Canevaro. She is the founder of The Dream Big Life, and she's a mindset coach. And we have been talking about how just a 6-minute little snippet of teaser for this show helped Adam overcome his fears. One of the guests who just joined us, a surprise guest who joined us today for a few minutes. And it's a living testimonial, Vanessa, how the positive mindset, you don't need hours of coaching. You don't need months of coaching. A few minutes of the positive perspective, positive mindset, positive conversation can really change a life. And as you talk about, it causes a ripple effect.
Exactly true. We all know what we want with our lives and ourselves right here. We all know that. It's just understanding that we can control that and we can get what we want from this life. And, the biggest fear, before we're finished here, actually, I talked about all these fears, but I think the biggest fear that people have is the fear of regret and regretting that, that day. And we've all heard the story of the day we're on our deathbed, right? Nobody's ever said, oh, I regret not going to work more. I regret, not spending, all these things. Well, do you want to go to your deathbed or, just go to your grave thinking, I wish I would have taken that chance and I, jumped on to Szebastian's show, right? I wish I would have been on that vacation. I wish I would have talked to that girl or that guy, right? Nobody wants, I wish I would have. That last day you're on this earth and you go on to wherever you're going to. Don't regret your life. Think of what you want and go for it. There is nothing that's stopping you except for you. That's honestly what it is. Finances aren't stopping you. Your social status isn't stopping you. You can make more money. You can always make more money. You just have to figure out how to do it, right? It doesn't matter if you're not born into royalty and riches. People can get there, right? You can effectively change a life with nothing. You can.
Exactly.
You just have to make the choice to want it.
Exactly. And Alicia is saying, she said that for years, she's agreeing exactly. And, what other people think of me is none of my business. I need to focus on what I'm doing. And you're so right about regret. You've just actually made me think about something. As you were saying, I was thinking back in my mind. That's what held me back for a long time, because what if I regret doing this? I just stopped instead of even trying. And really, like, I knew how to do something, what I wanted to achieve. I knew I'll have to do a little bit of training. I'll have to learn a new skill. I may have to, go a little bit out of my comfort zone. But that fear of regret, that what if I regret doing this? What if I did this and the outcome is not great and I fail? Which is, again, we need to talk about, we're running out of time, but we quickly will talk about fear of failure as well. And that's what it is, fear of regret and fear of that failure stopped me. And as you're saying, I'm thinking, that's it. That's what stopped me for years. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to regret doing something. But as I'm saying this, I'm also very glad, even before meeting you, maybe you were remotely, telepathically already training my mind from years ago, that when I felt like that after a little bit of struggle, I just thought, you know what, screw it. I'm going to try it anyway, because exactly what you said, if I don't try, I will never know what could have been.
You'll never know. What is the worst thing that's going to happen? Like, seriously, as long as nobody's dying and nobody's getting hurt, what is the worst thing that's going to happen? You're always going to bounce back. You'll find a way to bounce back. But if you didn't try it, how do you know it wasn't going to work? And what if it works? You don't know.
Right. And even though we're running out of time, I'm just going to quickly go back to the fear of failure, because that's what it is. We don't want to fail. We are so, and you were saying failure has all to do with ego, embarrassment, shame. We just don't want to fail. And because of that, we don't even try to succeed.
That's right. That's right. Because we're so scared to fail, we don't try. And there's no way you can possibly fail if you've never tried. Do you know what I mean?
That's it. Yeah. You give up before even trying. So you haven't tried. Haven't you already failed by just stopping to try?
That's true. If we would never have tried to walk, would we have ever walked? We didn't just stand up and start walking away one day. We fell and we fell and we fell, and it hurt. But one day we got up and we walked away. Was that a failure? No. You did it.
Exactly.
Right? You would never have tried.
We did it. We're growing. We're constantly doing something new. And same thing, Vanessa. I was talking about, for 6 years, I did not come back on camera because I was scared of something that happened to me and I didn't want to do it. And look at us. I mean, you've only recently known me, but I think the only thing you have noticed is I'm always on camera. I'm always live, right? And that's what it is. Like, once you let the fear of failure go, because I had the same feelings. What if nobody watches my shows? What if nobody notices me? What if it's, I'm sorry, it's almost naked conversation, so I'm just going to say, what if it's a shit show, Mm-hmm. And did not do that, did not do what I was capable of doing for 6 years. And I'm thankful to people like you around me in my life, and technology, this wonderful platform, BeLive.tv, the company Dramaniac TV, and my business partner, Alicia Corey. All of these positive people, positive things happening gave me the strength to, fight that fear of failure and just give it a go. Just see what happens. And look at you, we're running a company, and you and I are connected. We're learning so much from each other. And I think there's not a day I've not spoken to you since we've got in touch.
I think so. Every day we've chatted about something.
And it adds so much value. It gives so much strength. And since you're the mindset coach, I think that's what it is all about. It changes your mindset. It helps you overcome your fears, and you begin to see success. You begin to see prosperity, and you begin to be a different person altogether.
That's right. You shape your own future, right? You shape your own future. It's just deciding, which mindset am I going to have today? Am I going to have the one of defeat and lack, or am I going to have the one of prosperity and, limitless? It's your choice. You can't do both at the same, right? They don't happen at the same time. So always, choose where you're going with your life. You have a choice. I can't say choice enough because it's true. You have a choice with which path you want to take, right? Make your choice and then take the first step. And the first step usually is, okay, deciding what is it that you want. If you can envision a life that you want, what is it? And then take one part of that and thinking, okay, how can I get to that spot? What's the first step? And that step is your choice of what you want to do. Yeah.
And that's where everything begins to change. That's where everything begins to help you. That's where everything begins to, give you more power and empower others, So, you're not living a life less than the one you deserve. You're actually living a life that you deserve. You discover what you're worth. You discover what you can do for others. You are happy yourself. You're empowering others, and that's exactly what you're doing, Vanessa. I have to say, again, going back to the Lyme's disease, going back to the bankruptcy, you could have given up, you could have stopped, but no, you didn't do that. You instead went ahead and created a company, The Dream Big Life. And guys, if you're watching this, you can get all that information on Romaniac.com/Vanessa. All that information is there. So yes, before we go, we're going to wrap up. I just want to quickly say, so what message do you have for people, whether it's entrepreneurs, professionals, young teenagers, because that's another, scary stage. People are going through a lot of change and youth is very scared. Or as you and I have faced, if you have a disease situation, you have bankruptcy, financial situation, what message do you have for them to fight that fear and, live a complete life?
I think the first thing you should do is think about all the successes you've had in your life. So, and a very wonderful man that I'm married to had me do this quite a few years ago because I was in a very bad state where my thought processes were literally broken. And I know I was a good mom. I knew I was a good wife, but I didn't value any of that. I said, all I am is a mom. All I am. And he's like, oh my gosh, you are so much more than that. And what he had me do, my husband, Tony Canevaro, who is amazing. I'm going to put a plug in here for Tony.
Absolutely.
What he had me do is he said, I want you to write down every single success you have ever had since the day you were born. And I was like, what do you mean? He said, I want you to grab a book and you write down, you were born on May 10th, 1971. That's a success. You were born. I learned how to walk. I learned how to do this. I graduated kindergarten. I graduated high school. I gave birth to a son at 17. Write down every single success you've ever had. And those days that you are feeling lousy about yourself or thinking that you are less than wonderful, I want you to read them and understand that what you've done has been amazing. So I guess my final thoughts are, if you're feeling that like you're not getting what you want from this life and that you haven't achieved anything, I want you to write down every single success you've ever had, and I want you to read them out loud. And then I want you to take another booklet and I want you to write down every single thing you've ever wanted to do and make a plan to do it. Because really, life is limitless. We put limits on ourselves, and it's sad to think that we put ourselves in fences, but we do. But understand, there is no limit to your life. What do you want? Go for it.
That's right. And that's where you came up with a hashtag, don't be afraid. It's just going across the screen. So guys, that's a powerful message. Thank you, Vanessa, so much for coming. And, we're going to ask everybody, don't be afraid. Get in touch with Vanessa if you want some assistance, if you want to understand your fears, if you want to, change your mindset. She's available at thedreambiglife.com. Am I right?
That's right. That's right.
She's available at that website. Please go and contact her, or you can find all the information about Vanessa on Romaniac.com/Vanessa and get in touch with her. And don't be afraid. Let your fears go. And I think that's all I have to say. Once you let your fears go, everything changes for better.
That's right. Everything can change.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Vanessa, for this amazing conversation, for making this so exciting that Adam actually joined us from UK so late. And I think it's a reward for both you and I. What just happened today, it's just a rewarding thing to see the impact and the effect in real life and making a change and helping people get over the fear.
This has been the best day. This has been the best day.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. And I look forward to having you on other shows. And it's been such an honor knowing you, having you on my shows. And now I'm going to get up all in your business. You know what I'm talking about.
Yay!
So guys, before you get confused, that's the other show that I have, All Up in Your Business. And Vanessa is coming back in March on All Up in Your Business to talk more about what she does as a mindset coach, how she can help you, what services are there, and how she can help you overcome all your fears and progress in your life. Thank you so much, Vanessa, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you later.
See ya. So guys, that was Almost Naked Conversation with myself, Szebastian Onne, and you were watching Vanessa Canevaro. She is the mindset coach and the founder of Dream Big Life. And I have to give a little shout out to Tony Canevaro, her husband, who has been a very positive force in her life. And you know, that's what matters. Having a spouse like that, having family like that, who believes in you, who helps you see your strengths and overcome your fears and live a complete life, can do such a big, it just changes your life. And that's why we run a show like this, Almost Naked Conversation. It is about openly discussing things that matter, creating awareness. So if you're watching this and if you want to be on the show, please come to Romaniac.com/guest, fill in the form, and we'll get in touch with you and we'll bring you on the show. And there are many other shows on Romaniac TV. Simply log on to www.romaniac.com and watch all the shows that we have. And until then, take care and keep inspiring people, and don't be afraid. See you guys.